everybody, Prepper003 here today, and today I want to talk to you guys about a force multiplier for your preps in SHTF. Now, right now I wanted to start off by just saying that my prepping partner, Mazda,
hello,
is thankfully letting me demo his suppressors. Right, well, mine are still in suppressor jail down there at the Marcon shooting. So right now I just want to show you guys just a couple of varieties of suppressors that you could get as to talk about in the video as what they can bring to your preps. Now I'm going to start off with the biggest thing is they lower your overall profile when shooting a firearm in a SHTF scenario. Say you have to hunt for food, say you have to defend your property, or just general training in SHTF. All of those situations, it decreases your chances of getting discovered or your chances of getting attacked with using a suppressor. Now, unlike Hollywood would have you believe, it doesn't make your actual firearm silent. It just makes it hearing safe and makes the noise not travel as far out into the actual wilderness. Now, if you're using subsonic loads, that does help quiet down a bit more depending on the actual type of caliber. Like if you're using the 300 Blackout with a suppressor, that gets pretty darn quiet. And especially if you're using the bolt action as well. But I digress. I'm just going to go on to another fact about it is that another good thing about getting suppressors, you don't have to get multiple suppressors to fit every single firearm. Like for example, with the Silencer Co hybrid right here, you can get different type of adapters like I have right here on the Scorpion. Now you do have to pay extra for the adapters, but you can easily get these different adapters, different thread pitches, and everything else to attach your one can to a multitude of firearms. So you don't need to get and spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on suppressors when you only need to get one, if that's all you're really going to need. And if you're just going to have one gun, like a lot of people tend to want to do it, that's all you really need. And if you have multiple guns, just get a standard thread pitch for all your guns, and then you can just get the direct thread adapter and thread onto a different gun as needed. Now into a more tactical sense, if you will, it does help eliminate the muzzle flash in a combat environment, if you will, or a defensive situation, to where you're actively having to defend yourself against people that are attacking you. Maybe you and your partner have two suppressors. You can easily maneuver more easily and communicate more easily with having suppressors instead of having to try to deal with comms, because if you're having to deal with comms, which are still good to have, mind you, as I put in my video, comms for SHTF, you are definitely going to need those in SHTF scenario, but they might not work if, say, for example, a solar flare or an EMP happens. You might not have your radios or your two-way radios or your CBs or whatever unless you actively keep them in a Faraday cage. But just being able to have that extra little bit of communication between you and your partner, having him know you're moving, having him know you're reloading, and other things along those type of lines, really help increase your chance of survivability. Now, I'm just talking about this as a civilian aspect, and that's pretty much it. And just one of the things that I see is a good reason why to have a suppressor. Now, right here, there's another suppressor here, the Omega. And with the Omega, you can shoot pretty much anything from a 300 Win Mag all the way up to, well, a 300 Win Mag all the way down to a 22. And there again, as long as you have the proper thread pitches and the proper mounts for it, you can attach that to a multitude of firearms as well. Now, there are some cons when it comes to getting a suppressor that I know a lot of you are going to point out in the comments very quickly. There's the big old thing is, I don't want Big Brother knowing where I am and what I have. Well, sorry to break the news to you, but for the most part, they already do. If you're on YouTube and make one pro-gun comment, they pretty much can probably guess that you got a gun. Just pointing that out there. It doesn't take an Einstein to figure that out, especially with social media, everybody posting their guns. I know that there are some people that are like OPSEC, OPSEC, OPSEC up the ass. But there's a lot of people that are out there and just like to show, oh yeah, I picked this up, hey yeah, I picked that up. Even if it's not serial numbered, and even if you're using a fake account, they can still trace that. And I'm pretty sure that they know who owns a firearm and where they own a firearm. Now, sure, you can go a whole different ways about geocaching a high point carbine or an AK down in over in the Appalachians or something like that, whatever you want to say you do. But I'm just pointing it out that having a suppressor kind of all the benefits that it brings kind of outweighs the registration, especially since the fact that a lot of us as preppers have a concealed carry permit. And unless you're in some of the few constitutional carry states, if you have a concealed carry permit, they probably know there again that you have a firearm. Or you have a hunting license, therein again. So just stating that out. Then the other big thing is the $200 tax stamp as a con. Now, whenever you take a look at it, and that's why I have the scar here, is people are willing to spend thousands upon thousands of dollars on their firearms. The ACOG D-ball light alone cost more than the rifle, which in itself is another $2,000. So if you think about that, the $800 plus $200 tax stamp, well, the $800 for the can, the $200 tax stamp, doesn't weigh much whenever you're taking a look at what people are putting into their firearms, especially when you take a look at the magazines, the useless type of accessories that a lot of us like to get, like the cool things, your slings, all that type of stuff, numerous different holsters, lights, lasers, and everything else. But then again, you don't have to do that. If you want to keep it simple, like I like to do a lot, just a standard A2 carry handle or standard iron sights on your AK. You can do a lot with just iron sights. Just saying, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do stuff, but I will say again that getting a can is kind of a number, I would put in the top 5 accessories that you would want to get for your firearm. Now, another one of the things is it does change your zero, which I found out when shooting with my ACOG in the actual, the couple of those videos I posted a while back on the two-man reactive contact and braking contact drills on my channel, is that those type of zero changes can actually affect your accuracy in a long. Sure, it may be only a couple inches at 100 yards, but in a long range engagement, 300 to 500 yards, even beyond that, those 2 inches can widen out very easily. Especially if you're trying to aim for minute of man and not minute of angle, or MOA, sorry. But that's just one of the things that I just wanted to say, is that it does affect your zero. So if you are going to run a dedicated can on a dedicated rifle, it would be a good idea to zero the optic to the suppressor rather than to the rifle and then put the suppressor on. Now another con is it just increases maintenance, but with your standard direct impingement gas blowback rifles, it's going to actually definitely increase the amount of carbon buildup that you're going to have in your rifle, so you're just going to have to keep up on the maintenance with shooting that firearm. Now, like with pistons, you do get a little bit away with it with actually not having to deal with a lot of the buildup, but it does happen over time. And with a lot of your piston guns, depending on the model, like for example AKs and with the SCAR here, you do get that piston pop, so it doesn't suppress as well just because it's not as a contained system as you do with a standard AR-15 variant firearm or a direct gas blowback like you do with the Scorpion or the MP5s. And with another thing with the MP5s and your HK style firearms, along with the G3s, the I think I'm going to get this right, which is the kind of like the Zenith 43, the 5.56 variant. You do get, with it being a actually blowback delayed roller system, you do get a lot more buildup in those firearms. Now, I shot 200 rounds in a high-paced shooting situation with my PTR 91, which is a G3 clone, and that functioned flawlessly. But surprisingly enough, due to the extra blowback and the extra pressure and recoil, it caused the optic to come loose, which is kind of surprising as it was a factory-mounted ACOG. But still, things, even though it's a high-dollar ACOG, things like that can happen. So just as another point of a con is that it does increase on certain times recoil and recoil impulse, so it can have an effect on your optics. But overall, that's pretty much your pros and your cons of a suppressor as a force multiplier for an SHTF or a WROL situation. So take out what you will, comment down below what you guys think are some cons and some pros that I didn't mention. And maybe you guys have some suppressor recommendations for people that are just starting out. Like I said, I got a Silencer Co. Omega down in Suppressor jail that I've had there for 4 months now, and the same with a 5.56 dedicated spec bore as well. And it was thanks to Mazda and another one of my shooting friends that I actually went out and got the Omega and put the money down, and I'm still waiting on it because it's just a good can. I can use it for a lot of different firearms like I mentioned before. So thank you. Have a great day.